Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you have joined me for another session of your Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and I will be guiding you through some exercises today designed to clean out the pipes. May get a good chuckle out of that, but truly, we'll be doing a lot of abdominal toners, twisting, and other exercises that are great for stimulating fresh blood flow to all of the abdominal organs, which just helps pass not only circulation through the body, but also other things through the body. Um, Also, our breathing technique today, we'll be doing our bumblebee breath, which is great to try to eliminate um, stuff from the lungs as well. So that'll be our theme today. We'll have some fun with it, I promise. Now, in terms of what you'll need today, recommend getting barefoot. We will be doing some somewhat standing postures on top of the chair. We'll be doing some standing postures behind the chair, calf raises, and some other things where it's going to really be great to be barefoot so that you can work through a little more range of motion in the small joints of the feet. Now, you'll notice if you have been utilizing a yoga mat under your chair that I have oriented the mat differently today. And the reason for that is we'll be doing some wide-legged postures on the chair. And so if you are using a yoga mat, go ahead and set it up how I have it. And notice my chair's centered. However, the back legs are off of the mat a little bit. And that's to allow me to actually have my feet on the ground when we're doing some of these semi-standing postures, or to have my feet on the mat, rather. It should still ensure that your chair won't slide, but if you need to adjust it, of course, do that. I also have my towel today. We'll be doing a couple different movements where that might be helpful for you to have. All right, so other reminders. As always, listen, listen, listen to your body. Trying to push your limits in a safe way. And the only way we can get to that space is if we're truly focused on what's going on in our bodies. What kind of sensations are we feeling? What is our breath doing? Because if the breath stops, that's often a cue that you're pushing too hard. Or if you then notice and you can continue breathing, then you're at a good challenge level. Let's see, other reminders. If your feet tend to get numb, anywhere on the legs tend to go numb, remember to change up with the positioning in your chair. So if you perch on the edge and normally you get that sensation of legs going to sleep, then you may want to come a little further back or even all the way back. Or I think I mentioned this in a few sessions ago, to shift side to side a couple times. So that way you're just releasing pressure on that sciatic nerve and letting blood flow, oxygen flow down that leg. All right, so I think that covers everything we need to know for class today. So go ahead and get in your centering position. So remember, that can be all the way to the back, mid-seat, or edge of the seat. Finding as much alignment in the body as you can. We're trying to get to basically an anatomically neutral position with the majority of the joints in the body. And so we can accomplish that by sitting up tall, stacking the spine, making sure the knees are hip joint width apart, and then making sure that the heels or ankles are underneath those knee joints. Hands can rest to the thighs or wherever it feels comfortable for you. And let your eyes fall closed. Maybe just taking a couple deep breaths with your inhales, seeing if you can lift and open any amount more. And with your exhales, seeing if you can relax and root any amount more. And you can continue with just these nice, deep breaths for our centering today. Or you may want to join me for Brahmari Pranayama, or bumblebee breath. And so, to do that breathing technique, all of the breathing occurs through the nostrils, both inhale and exhale. But on the exhale, you make a humming sound with the mouth closed. So it'll sound like this. You'll take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, and to really get the full benefit from this breathing technique, that hum should be pretty loud, loud enough to where you feel vibrations in the throat, in the ears, in the eye, like behind the eyes, and all of that space. So go ahead and keep breathing, extending the exhale if you can, if that feels accessible. Continue breathing like that. And still trying to observe if your shoulders have started creeping up towards the ears. Go ahead and press those shoulders down. Keep the chest opening. Pressing down into the glutes or your bottom in the chair. Pressing down to lift up through the top of the head. And just taking 2 or 3 more of these Brahmari breaths. We'll continue with this breathing technique while we move into our first little bit of spinal manipulation. So continuing with your bumblebee breath, as long as you're feeling normal and not lightheaded or dizzy or any other strange sensations. You'll continue with that breathing technique as you start to move through a little bit of twisting. Feel free to open your eyes if you need to, or you can try to follow along with my words. But on your exhale, on your next exhale, you'll twist very gently towards the right side, sending that left hand towards the knee and the right hand towards the right hip. So we'll be sliding those hands along the legs. And it's a very baby twist here. Inhaling to center and exhaling the opposite way. Your inhale is bringing you to center, and your exhale is moving you into the twist. Go ahead and take one more twist to each side. And feel free to let go of that Brahmari Pranayama, or you can keep going with it if it feels good to you and you want to continue for the rest of the practice, or for part of the practice, go for it. So now we'll just move on with some shoulder circles, one at a time. So sending that left shoulder up as you push that right shoulder forward. So So you're just kind of rolling as one shoulder rolls up and back, the other shoulder rolls down and forward. So this is a little bit of subtle twisting still happening in the torso. Don't force that twisting, but it should happen naturally if you're working the shoulders through their fullest range of motion. Remember, these warm-up movements are so important for all of our synovial joints, and really every major joint that you can think of in the body is a synovial joint. Your knees, your hips, ankles, wrists, elbows, shoulders, the little joints in your spine where your ribs connect to the rib cage. All of those joints have these bags, bursa bags, and also synovial fluid capsules. Go ahead and reverse directions of your twisting, or excuse me, of your shoulder rolls. And so these types of movements are just really making that viscous, thick synovial fluid a little bit thinner, which is actually what we want. It spreads more through the joint, warms up the joint, allows for more pain-free range of motion. All right, 1 or 2 more rolls left to go. And then we'll move down towards the hips and the knees and ankles. So grabbing hold of that towel when you're ready, or remember, you can do this without the hand towel. You'll just be grabbing underneath that knee or in front for hip circles. So trying to maintain as upright of a posture as possible. Circling in one direction. As I've mentioned before, if you've done hip circles with me before, trying to isolate the movement mostly just to that hip joint. Go ahead and reverse directions. And now if you've been doing these videos since the beginning, or for at least, I would say, maybe 3 weeks if you've been doing it consistently, try to really take note here if you have observed more flexibility, more range of motion. That's one of the big goals with these workouts, is to increase your mobility. So hopefully you can see the results of that. Go ahead and relax that foot down. You can just drape that towel across your lap for now. Straighten out that right leg. And we're going to point and flex that right ankle. So if you recall your anatomical terminology, if you were with me in that one class where I talked about dorsiflexion and plantar flexion of that ankle joint. And let's go ahead and rotate now. So just circling. That heel might lift up off the ground. If you want a little bit more in abdominal engagement, you can kind of lean back here and really try pressing forward with that solar plexus. Go ahead and reverse directions. Make sure that you're not sinking into the shoulders. You're lifting up and out, active. Or you can sit up straight still. All right, let's go ahead and slide that foot back in. Take note of any differences between the right and left sides. Let's even that out. Starting with hip circles on the left side now. So circling up and around and down. And then we'll reverse directions after we've done a few rotations here. See if you can observe any difference between the right and the left side in terms of mobility as well. All of these little tidbits of information that we can harvest during our practice here, we can apply to everyday life. So if I'm tighter in one hip, it might be because I tend to sink my weight into that hip when I'm standing still. Go ahead and reverse directions. Or if I have more discomfort in one knee than the other, it could be something similar. Or maybe when I walk, I'm locking that knee out. So there are so many things that we don't even realize we do. And when we observe where we hurt, where we're tight, where we're loose, we can figure out these things sometimes. Go ahead and release that leg down. Take that towel. You can either drape it across the back of your seat or across the back of the chair back. And just straightening out that left leg. Again, you can come back to do a little bit of core toning. And it might actually just be a little bit easier on you to go through your pointing and flexing and your ankle rotations. So here we're trying to test the limits of how much movement we can have at the ankle joint. And as I've mentioned before, the more we do this, we'll slowly start to increase the range of motion. Go ahead and start circling either direction. For me, it's easier to hover that leg above the ground, but you can definitely keep the ankle or heel still on the ground, but try to get that full rotation even if you're doing that. Go ahead and reverse directions. Notice I'm kind of working my toes through pointing and flexing, wiggling them around. All right. Now we're nice and warmed up everywhere we need to be. So come back to your seated mountain pose, seated Tadasana. And we'll take a vinyasa or forward fold and a back bend. So decide here before you even begin, do you want to separate the legs a little wider? That can make the forward fold stretch in the backs of the hips and glutes a little bit more, as well as the back. It can accommodate for your torso better, so you have more space here. So decide, I'm definitely going to go for that today. And then decide if you want to fold forward with hands on the thighs, with hands in your swan dive, or with hands overhead. So for me today, I'm going to go with overhead. I'm feeling good, strong. I want to go for it. So wherever you end up going, inhale to lift the arms up. And then exhale to move the arms wherever you need to as you start that fold. So back stays long for as long as you can manage it. And then releasing all the way down. And remember, if you feel okay dropping your head below your heart, there are lots of good benefits to this position of the body, both muscularly and for the circulatory system. But if you have vertigo or you've been told by your doctor not to lower your head below your heart, then you will just stay in this forward fold position, but a little more upright. So you're keeping the heart and the head level. Wherever you end up, just relax here for a couple more breaths. Again, just trying to see what you can observe in the body. And an inhale, we'll begin to reactivate. Slowly lift that head. Send those hands to the thighs. If you'd like a little more challenge and back strengthening, send those arms back behind you. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to release just for a moment, and we'll move into our back bend. If the feet are wide apart, go ahead and bring them back to hip width distance. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, circling the arms back and down, grabbing either side of the chair and pulling away from the chair. So very active, press forward with the belly, with the solar plexus, the chest. That chin lift, shoulders down. One more inhale here. And on your exhale, release. And here, again, you might want to use your towel. We're going to be doing a leg hold cat and cow. So what that'll look like without the towel is interlacing the fingers underneath that leg, and you'll be drawing the knee in and then straightening. And so it'll look very similar with the towel. So you'll inhale, belly towards thigh, press the chest forward, lift the chin. On the exhale, pressing navel to spine, straightening that leg out, dropping chin down towards the chest. Inhaling and exhaling. Play around with this if you prefer. Maybe hands even feel better on this than the towel, even if you use the towel for knee circles. So just see where it feels best for you. One more round of breath here. Inhale to come back to center. On your exhale, go ahead and straighten that leg out and bring it down to the ground. Towel can come behind the chair. Inhale to send the arms up. Exhale, start to tilt back while you're lifting. You know where we're going with this. Core engagement. So rock back until you feel that all start to activate. Inhale, center, and exhale, rock forward. Strengthening the back. Also starting to work into those hamstrings. Inhale, center. Exhale, tilt. Inhale, center. Exhale, reach. Notice you're probably feeling a burn here across the tops of the arms as well, working the front of the shoulders, tops of the shoulders, a little bit into the chest as well in terms of strengthening those muscles. Next time you rock back, hold it here. Don't hold your breath though, keep breathing. See if we can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and come up. And exhale, release into your forward fold. Hamstring stretch. So if you can, you're releasing those elbows or forearms to the leg. Resist the temptation. If you're pretty flexible, you may feel like you want to bring your hands to that straight leg, but I would really discourage that unless maybe you have the hands at the ankle. We just want to make sure you're not locking and straining that knee joint. Relax here in your stretch. And if you're not really feeling much of a stretch along the back of the leg, think about, we've talked about that pelvic tilt before. So think about pushing the sits bones back, pubic bone pushes down. Woo, yeah, that little tilt, that micro movement might do it for you. When you're ready, an inhale lifts you up out of that fold and draw that heel in. Let's take it on the other side. So an inhale for our vinyasa. Remember, you can widen the feet if you would like to. We're not going to hold this one quite as long. Exhale to fold forward, Uttanasana, or your forward fold. Relaxing here fully for about 2 or 3 breaths. How heavy can you allow your head and your shoulders to be, and arms? Feel as if they're made of lead, just dragging you down, stretching and tractioning the back. And on an inhale, maybe stay here another breath. Now when you're ready, on your next inhale, start to re-engage. Lift up halfway, slide those hands to the thighs. Hands can remain here and press to help you up, or lift up using the back and the core. Deep inhale to send the arms up. Exhale, circling back and down. And pressing, pushing into your back bend. Here, we're going to, again, work with that pelvic tilt. So tailbone pushes down, sits bones push back. Notice how that really changes my lower spine positioning. So pressing that forward. One more inhale. And exhale to let it go. And leg work with cat and cow. So again, decide if you want the towel or not. If you're not using the towel, you're interlacing those fingers behind the thigh or behind the knee. So your inhale, you're drawing that knee to chest, pressing forward, lifting up. On your exhale, letting that leg straighten, pull you into a stretch, navel to spine, pressing that air out. Maybe close your eyes here and try to observe the spine. We're trying to go from as rounded as possible to as lifted and open as possible. So switching that positioning. Essentially allowing our spine to work through its full range of motion. Just like any other joint, there's a lot more joints in there. And with your next inhale, kind of coming to neutral and straightening out that left leg. I think we're done with the towel for today, but you can keep it on the back of your chair, toss it off, whatever you want to do with it. Let's send those arms out. Exhale to hinge back. Feel the core light up. Inhale to come to center. Exhale to rock forward until you feel the hamstrings. Just moving at the pace of your breathing. Trying to keep those arms up as long as you can. No need to have them any higher than shoulder height. In fact, it's best if you have them shoulder height to work those deltoid muscles in the shoulders. Couple more rocks, then we're going to hold it. Really, like I said, we're cleaning those pipes, y'all. Go ahead and rock back one more time. Well, I lied. We're going to rock back one more time after this and hold it. All right, get ready for that hold. Stay with it if you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up. And on your exhale, relax into that nice, deep hamstring stretch. So again, either both hands to that right thigh, possibly one hand on the shin, but not up here on the thigh or the knee. And see what you can let go of here to receive this stretch. Are you holding on to tension in the jaw, tongue, eyes, shoulders? Think about that rock of the pelvis. So trying to press that navel forward as you push the sits bones back. Just taking 2 more deep breaths here. We're going to build into a little bit more core work. Build a little bit more fire in that belly. In a good way, though. Inhale to come up. Slide that foot in. We're going to be working with deep abdominal twists next. So this twist is coming from transverse abdominis and our oblique muscles, not from me just moving the shoulders and arms side to side. So in fact, it might be helpful to actually practice it that way. So let's bring those arms to cross and just mindlessly move the elbows side to side. So when you do that, you're probably not feeling core engagement. I don't feel hardly any at all. I feel some stretching in my back, and that's about it. I feel like my arms are doing most of the work and a little bit of momentum, right? So let's pause here in the center and try to think. So if I'm twisting to that left side, I'm activating really tightly this whole left side, my obliques on that side. And I'm exhaling. Oh, yeah, feel that for sure. And I'm pressing navel towards spine, so I'm activating my deep core muscles. Woo! Inhale to center. Exhale the opposite way. This time to the right. Think about all of that firing up and engaging. Yes. And inhale, center. Keep going. If you're still not feeling it the way that I'm mentioning, just keep working with it. Keep thinking of this activating the movement. If those shoulders are getting really tired, try to stick with it if you can. But you can drop those hands down to the lap. Okay, we're going to go for 3 more twists to each side after this one. If you would like to tuck the same knee in, see how that feels for you. Getting possibly even more core engagement. So you're tucking that same knee as the side you're twisting to. 2 more to each side. Last one. Try to work with it. I know you're getting tired. As long as you're still breathing and you're not feeling sharpshooting, pinching pain, stay with it. Deep inhale and exhale, relax. Maybe swing those arms out or roll those shoulders out, whatever feels best for you. We'll do a little bit more work in our chair and then come to standing. So, taking a deep breath here, we're going to shift into Warrior Two pose. So, quick vinyasa first. We're really not going to hold this one for more than about a breath or maybe 2 breaths in our forward fold. So, very dynamic here. Again, working to build that heat and energy in the body. So, inhaling the arms up. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhale to lift up halfway. So lift the chest, head. Exhale, fold again. Your next inhale, lift all the way up. Arms can come back. Inhale to send the arms up. Exhale, opening them back and down. And inhaling for your back bend. Exhale, release. And we're going to shift over to the left side first. So if you can, you're marching, trying not to use your hands. It doesn't have to be an actual march, but basically trying not to use the hands. You're going to set that left foot slightly in front of the chair. Right leg is going to come out in line, if possible, with that front heel. So my heel is intersecting my back foot arch. Again, don't stress about it if you're not there. That's totally fine. Try to get as close to that as your body will allow. The hips are fairly open. They're kind of at a bit of an angle. So my hips are kind of angled like this. I'm going to send those arms out. If you feel that you're okay with balancing here and the support of that chair. So warrior two, reaching out equally through both arms. Shoulders are down, looking in that along the line of that middle finger of that front arm. And breathing here. We're going to try something possibly fairly challenging, a little transition into a high lunge. So if you have pretty good mobility, maybe you in strength, maybe you've done yoga before without a chair, or you feel really confident in your chair yoga exercises, transition with me here. Everyone else hang out here for just a minute. You're going to swoop that right arm down. Notice my right hip. I'm starting to send that forward, and I'm pivoting onto my back toes. My front foot is just going to shift a tiny bit over to the left. And now I'm in a high lunge position. If that transition doesn't look doable to you, then you're going to bring those hands down to the chair and kind of reposition the feet and basically just shift into that same position in your high lunge. So now my hips are moving to the left side of my chair. Arms up. Feel that deep stretch. Breathe here. At any point, if you want to challenge yourself, you can try lifting up out of that seat a little bit, even if you're still in contact with the seat, just kind of lifting your weight up and out. Take one more inhale here. On your exhale, twist to that left side. Maybe sending the hands, maybe one to the thigh and one to the chair. Whew. Yeah, y'all, keep breathing. Shoulders down, open chest. Deep inhale here. Exhale, release the twist. One breath here. Exhale, moving back into your warrior two. So it's an easier transition this way. You're just rooting that back foot down, coming back to your warrior two, but this time we'll take a nice little side stretch. So my left hand can either come to the chair or left elbow to the thigh, and I'm just leaning over to that left side, trying to keep the chest open, facing the same direction as my hips and the chair. That right arm can swoop down and up. So again, maybe your hand is here on the thigh, or elbow rather, is on the thigh. Take an inhale to lift up and out. And exhale, relax. Let that back knee bend. Oh yeah, walk those feet together. Coming back to center. Taking our last vinyasa here, another quick one, breath by breath. So I'll guide you through. And don't get frustrated if you can't manage it one breath for each movement. Just do your best to follow along. Inhale to lift the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway up. Exhale, fold again. Inhale to lift all the way up. Arms can stay down, they can come behind you, they can come up. Exhale to release the arms down to the sides. Inhale to send the arms up. Exhale, open them back and down. And inhale, pressing into that back bend. And exhale to release. Nice flowing yoga practice there, y'all. Let's go to the right side now. So first I'm going to send my legs over on about a 45-degree angle. I'm going to line up that right foot first and get my foot parallel to the mat if you're using a mat, or basically your foot is perpendicular to your chair. You're going to try to send that back leg back, and you may need to play around with shifting in your chair a little bit. So shifting around until you feel both supported, but also that you have enough freedom of movement in the hips. And if you can, you're working towards that heel intersecting the inner arch of that left foot. When you're ready, arms go out, maybe one, maybe both, or maybe no arms today. Hands are on hips or on the chair. Gazing out over that right middle finger now. Arms are lifted, active, energetically pressing out in both directions, but the shoulders are pressing down. Lifting up from the core. Think of that zipper. Trying to take one or two more breaths here. Again, at any point, if you want to, you can lift up away from the chair, either all the way up, or maybe you're just pressing really hard into your feet to activate the legs more. On an exhale, release the arms. If you're trying the transition, as you send that left arm down, you're pivoting onto the left toes and coming up to high lunge. Or maybe it didn't look quite that graceful and you needed to use the chair. That's fine too. So get into where you can really freely move that left hip. Coming into your high lunge, arms overhead if you can, arms straight out ahead, or hands to the hips or chair. Taking about 2 breaths here. And then on an exhale, moving into your twist if you can. So you're twisting towards the back of the chair. Definitely recommend left hand coming to the right leg. Even here, trying to draw navel to spine, trying to lift up and out of the top of the head. Take one more deep inhale. On your exhale, release the twist. Coming back to that high lunge, just briefly. And then pivoting the back foot and opening that hip to come back to your warrior two. Shifting again however you need to. And from here, we'll move into that side reach, extended side angle. So that right hand can come to the chair or right elbow to the leg. And that left arm comes out, making just a nice long line from the fingers to the toes. You guys are doing great. I know this is a little more challenging than we've done before. Possibly. It just, again, depends on what's challenging for you and your body. On an inhale, come up. And exhale, relax. Oh, yeah. All right. So walking back to center. We're going to come to standing to do a brief series behind the chair. So either coming up however you need to or coming up through Utkatasana chair pose. And if you've never been able to try chair pose before, coming out of the chair like this, don't worry. I know you're really sad about it, missing out. We'll be doing chair pose, holding on to the chair in a minute here. So if you're going to join me for coming up through chair, you're walking those heels under you, sweeping those arms forward. Send that chest forward. Really, that kind of forward push can kind of help lift you up out of the seat a little bit. Slowly coming up to standing. And exhale, relax. Awesome. All right. So coming on over behind your chair. Just going to turn mine to the side. Now, we'll be doing our work here facing the chair. So standing probably about anywhere from 6 to 12 inches from your chair. You want to be able to loosely grip here, but we're going to start with some calf raises. So make sure that your heels are hip width apart, feet are parallel. Zip up, find that alignment and posture. Before you do anything here, lifting onto the toes, shift your weight a little bit side to side, maybe even closing the eyes, and just find your center. Because I have yet to meet a human being that doesn't sink weight more into one side than the other. And so here, let's actively try to have equal weight in both feet. Open the eyes when you feel you've accomplished that. And start your raises. So you're going to lift as high up onto those toes as possible. And then lower. Slow and controlled. A lot of us try to really push through these movements quickly, and we sometimes don't get as much benefit from them. Training the muscle and working through the joints. You should feel those calves working pretty hard, maybe even burning. And again, that's typically an okay sensation. Might not be your favorite, but we know that those muscles are working hard when we feel that burn from lactic acid as a byproduct of our muscular engagement. Couple more lifts. And then we're going to try holding our balance on the toes. I know, it's a little crazy maybe, but great way to work on ankle stabilization. So come up to the toes, and we're going to stay here. So you're just trying to stay here. Even if you don't lift a single finger away from the chair, you're still working really good effort towards balance. If you can, maybe sending a hand off. Excuse me. Maybe a hand comes off, or both hands, just for a second or longer. If you fall out of it, come on back to it. If those calves are starting to cramp, try to stick with it, and we'll stretch them in a minute. All right, lower it down. Maybe get a nice little stretch there. Bend the knees. All right. If those feet are doing okay, I would like to challenge you and have you do this next movement on the toes. However, if your feet are feeling pretty worn out, then do this with the feet on the ground. So I'll show you both ways. We're basically doing little mini squats. It's just about a quarter squat. So my knees are bending and straightening. My heels aren't lifting off the ground. Again, it's just a small squat. Now, if you can, I challenge you to come onto the toes and do that same thing. Okay? So either way, pick your method. Join me in bending and straightening. Bending and straightening. Keep that core engaged. If you've started out on the toes and you feel like your feet are cramping or it's just not a good a good thing for you, then come back down to the soles of the feet. Okay, everyone, if you're on your toes, awesome. You're still there. Good for you. Pat yourself on the back and then drop your heels down. Join me here for chair pose and then we'll stretch and call it a day. So bending those knees. Again, I'm almost able to see my toes here, so I don't want to bend so far that I can't see my feet anymore. Holding here, engaging navel towards spine. Send one arm up, maybe both arms up, or both arms forward, or one. Okay, do what you can. See if you can sink any deeper into that squat stance. Yes. I had a yoga instructor that used to call this public restroom pose. The ladies out there will know what I'm talking about. So see if you can squat a little deeper, but again, making sure the knees are not moving beyond the toes. Whew, feeling those quads work. Balance working here. And if you're still holding it, go ahead and straighten it out. Whew, nice job, y'all. We're just going to do some slow butt kicks. I know, very eloquent name, but essentially just giving a little stretch to those quads, a little dynamic stretching and lengthening. Nice job. So for our cool down, we'll do 2 stretches on each leg and then relax. So these stretches flow nicely one into the other. So you'll come a little bit closer to your chair than you were before. Take just a little step back with that left foot. And shifting the weight forward into the right foot, you're just going to try to push the pubic bone forward. So I'm almost like I'm tucking my tailbone under me, and you should really feel that stretch in the front of the hip. So get that pelvic tuck this time. Maybe you lean a little to that right side if you want to increase that stretch. Either with the hand down or arm can be up. Oh, yeah. Breathe into it. Probably feeling the stretch into the abdominals as well, especially if that arm's lifted. Go ahead and come back to center, keeping that back foot where it is. All you're going to do is start to shift your hips back and your weight back into that back heel, and then bend the front knee and now try to shift your chest forward. So you should feel a nice deep stretch in the back of that calf muscle. Oh yeah, I'm feeling it. Hopefully you are too. Try to relax wherever you can in the body. Deep, easy breaths. Holding for just a few more seconds. And when you're ready, on an inhale, see if you can step that left foot forward to meet the right in one movement. And let's do the other side. So taking a little step back with the right foot this time, staying on the toes. Shift that weight forward, tuck the tailbone. Really lift up with the pubic bone. Feel that stretch in the front of the right hip. And if you'd like to, maybe you're just taking a little lean over to the left with both hands still on the chair. Or if you feel comfortable, lifting that right arm, moving into your little side reach. It's just a very subtle side bend. It's nothing major. We're not trying to reach the opposite wall or anything like that. Just trying to intensify the stretch to meet your edge. Couple more deep breaths here. Maybe even sighing like I'm doing. It can feel really nice to just release tension you didn't even know you were holding on to. Inhale to come up. Exhale, release that arm if you have it lifted. And now keeping the feet where they are, you're just going to try to push that back heel down and bend into that front knee. Oh, yes. Feeling that stretch in the calf muscle. If you're not feeling much of a stretch, you might want to send that foot further back behind you to come into a deeper lunge. Or if you're feeling too much stretch, you'll do the opposite. Bring that foot a little closer in. Let's take 2 more of those nice big sighing breaths. Deep inhale. Exhale. One more time. And go ahead and slowly try to step that right foot to meet the left. Any last little shaking it out? Maybe a couple more of those butt kicks. Get ready to relax, y'all. So remember, this part is so important in terms of allowing the body to really process everything that you've done in today's class. So if you'd like to, I think I mentioned this a couple other classes, move over to the couch, to your armchair. You can even lay down on the couch, lay down on the floor, get comfortable. Wherever you do get comfortable, though, try to just maintain a stacked and open spine. So it's best if you can recline. That's wonderful. If you're in a comfier chair, just make sure it's not making you do this while you relax. So just trying to stay lifted a little bit. So go ahead and get as comfortable as you can. Trying to relax those muscles in the body, sometimes little jostling, like kind of shifting the weight movements like I'm doing here, can just help you release some tension, again, that a lot of times we don't even realize we're holding on to. So once you feel a little more loose and relaxed, try to find and settle into some stillness here. And if you're breathing deeply with control, go ahead and let the breath go now, just like you're letting go of effort in the body. Just take a quick little scan, starting at that space between the eyebrows. Loosen up that space. Loosen up the muscles in the face. Loosen up the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Loosen up the shoulders. Loosen the arms and the abdomen. Relax the glutes, the thighs, and all the way down to the toes. As if you just feel this warm wave of relaxation washing down from the crown of the head all the way down to the toes. And just bask in this relaxation. And this opening, loosening, and receiving of the body. feeling that heaviness. See if you can begin to shift towards a sense of lightness and airiness by beginning to deepen the breath. To breathe that movement back down into the toes and the fingers. To gradually make that movement a little bit bigger. Starting to work at the ankles and the wrists. Ooh, maybe you might feel a yawn like just happened with me. And when you're ready, take a nice long stretch. Even if you're laying down, even if you're seated, just reaching out through the fingers and the toes. Slowly opening your eyes. Coming back to reality. Feel free to hang out there and relax longer. Typically, this pose, Shavasana, we would do for up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes in a full-length yoga class. So hang out there if you need to. But otherwise, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today. I love sharing a practice like this with you all and hope to do it so soon in person. And if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, reach out to me. As always, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.